Okay, so who won the debate? Who lost the debate? I think anybody with a pulse and at least two functioning brain cells would see that Trump won and Biden lost. But who's the true loser in this debate? I believe it's the American people. Not because of anything Trump did. Trump did a great job, but because of the situation Biden has now put us in and the people that are leading Biden around. Because now the entire world has seen the mental state of the head of the executive branch, our commander in chief. Let's talk about this. I'm Jared. This is Continue Freedom. Okay, welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. Even if you hate me, go ahead and leave me some comments below. I'm perfectly fine with that. I love you anyways. Okay, so we're going to talk about the debate last night. Let me get serious here for a second. I said in the opening, the American people are the ones that actually lost. And I believe that with my whole heart because even I know that Biden is in cognitive decline. I've seen it. I've been watching it. I pay attention to the news all the time. But there's a lot of uninformed voters who tuned into the debate last night. Tens of millions of people were watching the President of the United States. And there were people within the first 30 seconds who thought, ooh, that didn't sound good. That doesn't sound quite right. And if they stayed all the way to the end, they realized that the leader of the free world is not actually the guy in charge of the nuclear football. He's the guy who's not actually running the executive branch. He's not actually the commander in chief. They realized that the President of the United States is in serious cognitive decline. And while the people realize that, the people that don't watch politics on a day-to-day basis because it frustrates them, because it stresses them out, because they've got jobs and they've got families and they've got other things to worry about, yes, they saw it, but North Korea saw it, Russia saw it, China saw it, Iran saw it. All of these foreign countries saw it, and now we are in greater risk, in greater danger than we've ever been in before because the entire world knows that the President of the United States is a dementia patient. He's an elderly man being led around by his wife and his advisors and a party who is simply trying to use him as a front man to maintain power and control over the federal government. I mean, it should have been, there were people, I feel legitimately sorry for them. And I'll be honest, I felt sorry for Joe Biden. I know that his policies, his policy prescriptions, his party's policy prescriptions, they are socialist, they are communist, they are evil, they are wrong, and they are bad for this country. They are what has led to this rampant inflation. They've been slowly chipping away at our wealth, at anything that we have. Our values of our products, or of our properties, of our money, our savings is all being destroyed by his political party. But Joe Biden doesn't know his butt from a hole in the ground at this point. And I'm going to play you the first part of his opening statement. And this is when I realized right off the bat that he was going lowbrow. And when I realized that his doctor had not given him the proper cocktail before he came out here.
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right.
Right off the bat, lowbrow, third grader type comments. This is stuff that's been debunked over the years, but they keep going with it. And he hit all of them, by the way, throughout this entire debate. He hit the bleach in the arm, the finer people on both sides, the fact that he's a felon. All of these points, they hit them all night long. Joe Biden did. That's the only thing that he got right, to be perfectly honest. He would throw them in there randomly, oftentimes when they didn't even make any sense. But let's keep going.
The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%.
Because of a pandemic, by the way. Of course, because all the businesses are shutting down, because the entire country shut down. Because the people like Fauci had been paying Chinese labs to manufacture dangerous viruses that then got leaked and spread around the world and caused a pandemic.
It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs.
15,000 new jobs, not 15 million new jobs. So a misspeak right off the bat.
We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done.
So then he touts the 800,000 manufacturing jobs. He's not accounting for the fact that these opened back up because Trump had handled the pandemic. The pandemic was on the upswing whenever Joe Biden came into office. And so he's taking credit for all the recovery jobs. Now, I can't necessarily fault him for that because any politician would do just that. They would take advantage of the fact that there's a recovery going on after a global pandemic. But Joe Biden, this set the tone. He was hoarse. He was hoarse, he was coarse, and he was trying to goad Donald Trump all night long into some sort of verbal altercation. And you know what? Donald Trump didn't bite. The only time Donald Trump bit was right here. And this is when, the biggest reaction of the night by Donald Trump was right here. And listen.
I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And
when Joe Biden says, I had a 6 handicap when I was vice president, it's the biggest response that you got out of Donald Trump all night long.
By the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn.
Let's not act like children.
And then Donald Trump for the recovery. But Joe Biden was trying to goad him into this stuff all night long. And it was really sad. It was bad. We also saw that, the commentators were having to rescue him. So Dana and Jake were both having to rescue Biden all night long when he would start mumbling, when he would start saying something that was incoherent. Here's one example.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered. And he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal. There's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go, Dana. Be sure to cut him off. Don't let him say that too long. Now there's another one, Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper had to jump in and rescue him as well.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
It's a Trump for the win. Again, it was time after time. Biden would start mumbling, and he would start saying something incoherent. They would jump in to rescue him, and Trump would be there for the win. And I could go on and on and on. I could play a bajillion of these things. He miscarried.
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor. Between the woman and the state. The idea.
So that's not what a trimester is, but he didn't know that. And then he gets live. So this was one of the best parts. The Border Patrol itself, in the middle of the debate, he says he was talking about the Border Patrol supported him.
Number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position.
Well, what happened? The Border Patrol tweeted out in the middle of the debate, "Let me be clear, we did not endorse President Biden." So they live fact checked him. It was just one thing after another, one thing after another. And then Trump, he would keep hitting him hard. Here's one more. Let's play this one.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
It was an absolute pounding. And I say that, I laugh because, Trump was clever. It's so painfully obvious because I know that we've been deceived. I've been deceived for the past several years when it's not that I've been deceived. It's been that I know I've been lied to, and it finally came to light. Well, after all of this, after this absolute destruction, we'll just call it shellacking or whatever. What was the response from the Democrats? Across the media, the left-wing media, how did they respond? Whoa, what in the world? Here's how Democrats could replace Biden. You need another one? This is from NBC. Democrats are talking about replacing Joe Biden. That wouldn't be so easy. You need another one? Biden must drop out. Here's how Democrats could replace him. This is, by the way, is within an hour of hour and a half of the end of the debate. These are the likely Democratic presidential candidates if Biden drops out, as rough debate prompts calls to stand down. Oh, here's another one. And there's countless of them, by the way. Democrats may want to replace Biden, but it's his call. And rinse and repeat. Over and over and over and over again. All the media was like, okay, now we can't hide this any longer. See, they held water for him. You know, they jumped in and were trying to save him all night long, and they couldn't. It's impossible. They couldn't save the guy because he was too far gone, and the jig is up. Here's a perfect meme that was posted online. This is posted on X. Let's take a look at this one. This is of Jake Tapper carrying Joe Biden.
Get him out of here!
I mean, I can't think of a more perfect meme. Oh, but at the end of the day, they will continue to, if they say that Joe Biden is not going to be is going to be the nominee, they will continue to carry water for him. You know, Barack Obama came out and said, "Oh, everybody has a bad debate." He's kind of setting the stage for that. Everybody has a bad debate every now and then. Of course. I mean, yeah, of course. It's not that bad. Come on, it's not that bad. But I believe that this is, first off, elder abuse. Second off, I believe this is an absolute affront to the American people. That they are willing to keep this guy in here for what reason? For what reason? If he can't do the job, the American people deserve someone occupying the executive branch that knows the time of day, that ties their own shoes, goes to the potty on their own, and that doesn't appear to be the case. It really doesn't. Jill Biden is the one who is leading her husband around by the nostrils, making him stand in front of the American people and embarrass him because she doesn't want to give up the White House. She doesn't want to give up the perks of the presidency. This is why he is still in the Oval Office. This is why they have been hiding this from us. Because they don't want to show weakness. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, which I get. They don't want to show weakness. But at some point, you have to say, we have some accountability to the American people. If something is wrong, let the American people know. Now, if I've heard several people talking about potential replacements for Joe Biden. In fact, my brother, he texted me and he said, let me pull this up. I think it was Gretchen Whitmer and Amy Klobuchar were the ones that he thought. You know, if you bring two women on board, then it's really going to capture the female vote. And I mean, that's a possibility. We can look at I was texted this to myself a little while ago. Somebody had posted this online, and it was a Fox poll. Let me open this up here. Let's pull that up. So men, 41% Biden and 56% Trump. And then white men with no degree, 34% Biden, 64% Trump. But you go down to white women with a degree, 64% vote Biden and 36% Trump. That's lunacy. That's absolute lunacy. But that's the state of politics. They're voting for Biden. They're overwhelmingly, it's emotional. That's why the Democrat Party, it's a lot of their stuff is the lovey-dovey, huggy kind of stuff, and they don't address the true problems. Anyways, I won't get into the nitnoid details about that. But if they run two female candidates, there's a high probability of that. But here's the other issue. My understanding of campaign finance law is that the donations made to President Biden can't be simply transferred to someone else. If they are in a PAC that supports President Biden, they can't easily be transferred to a new candidate. So now you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that cannot get transferred to the person that's going to replace Biden. So the easiest thing, in my opinion, would be to go ahead and run Biden, get him across that finish line, and whoever the vice president is for Joe Biden, you got to take Kamala Harris out of there because that she'd be an atrocious president, or maybe she'd be a good one for them to pull the strings of, just like they've been doing with Biden. But you have to get a new vice president in there, whoever's going to be the actual commander in chief. Biden gets in, and then you can pull him out a few months in, and there's your problem, or not your problem, but there's your solution. So I don't know what that's going to look like. But I know that the left is calling for it already. They are calling for it already because last night was an absolute train wreck. It was an affront to the American people. People should have now realized that they have been lied to for the past 3.5 years. And I hope it wakes some people up and say, hey, you know what? Maybe Trump, the guy who I thought was this hateful, evil guy, had this to say last night that showed a moment of, I don't know if it's humble or if it shows that he actually cares about having this position. It's not just about grabbing power, but it's about improving America.
Will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner.
There you go. He said, I wasn't even going to run again. But unfortunately, my numbers have been pushed up. Because of all this stuff going on, my numbers have been pushed up. So I'm going to run because I know that it needs to be done. I've watched Joe Biden wreck this country. I'm going to do my duty to serve the people of my country. I'm going to close on that one because when you talk about the guy saying, I wasn't going to do it, it's driving my numbers up, I've seen that this country is being wrecked, and then Joe Biden makes a little veiled threat under his breath. That about summarizes the debate from last night. All right, the decision's going to be in the hands of the American people in a few months, and we'll keep talking about it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We're on X Locals, Rumble, and YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys.